Riddle spoons.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your guy Dawson with Dawson and Denise TV. I am here with Denise and Z Marie, who's basically a part of this show too. I want to thank you guys for viewing in and checking us out here on Dawson and Denise TV. We're just gonna go ahead and get right into this topic, which is: do people on Section 8, not only Black and Latinos, but come on, let's be real, even white people, do these people ruin good neighborhoods? Do they ruin neighborhoods? Because a lot of people don't want people with Section 8 coming in their neighborhood because the stigma behind Section 8 people who have Section 8 rather. What do you ladies think about that?
You going inside?
Yes. Well, I think a lot about it. I grew up in the ghetto, and we tried to take care of our neighborhood the best we could. We borrowed sugar, we borrowed eggs, and we paid it back. We redid the favor. That was, in the early 80s. And now I think you're absolutely right. Section 8 has a stigma. And I think that, the people who treat the neighborhood the worst, I think they don't necessarily have to be on Section 8. But the problem is when you're paying $5, when you're in a neighborhood that's not the best, it's hard to give a damn about something that nobody else gives a damn about. And so I think it's kind of like a generational kind of problem, where if you didn't see your parents take care of it, like I just said, we took care of each other. If they're not taking care of each other anymore, then, I think it's less hope there.
Right. And like Zahara said, we all grow up in low-income housing. But at that time, you had low income. So you still took care of it because you had to work hard to even pay those $74 or those $47. So you took pride in what you was doing. Your mother is still waking up on Saturdays playing Tina Marie and cleaning up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like now the more they get or the more you have and you don't have to pay for it, you don't take pride in anything.
So it's that whole analogy that people say, if you work hard, what you work hard for, you're going to take care of. Right. And if you don't work hard for it, you're just going to think that
it ain't mine. I don't care. I ain't paying nothing. It ain't mine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I do think it's a problem because I have a good friend of mine in D.C. She owns a couple of properties, and one of them she sold because it was so many people coming into the neighborhood on Section 8, and also just renters, period. She felt like they just did not care about the neighborhood, not just the renters, but the people who own the property. They seem to care less once they got a rental, a person in there. Right. So, yeah, I think even looking from the side of the person who is an owner, you right. have to at least, since these people are renting, it really is your property. So you should try to enforce some kind of, upkeep as well. So I don't think it's just, let's be real. Some of these people who rent these properties just trying to get the government money in terms of Section 8, they know the government pay on time, except, if they're trying to impeach Obama, the government going to pay on time. Other than that, So, they want that quick money.
And that is true. You should say renters. And that's where other things should step in, like the neighborhood stability thing. Instead of giving me Section 8 or whatever, maybe give me a class to help me build my credit or forget my credit. Allow me to be able to own this. So I will be here and I don't have to bounce around, and you will create stability in the neighborhood. You will have kids feeling safe and secure. You can build your community instead of tearing it down, whether it's Section 8 HUD or whatever it is. The government needs to give something else, ownership.
Yes. Preach. Mm-hmm. You need to be hired right there. Hire my sister for city council. City council right there.
Well, you both made some really interesting points because, as you know, the population that I work with, a lot of the clients I work with, a lot of them are on government assistance, with assisted housing and all these other kind of things. And one of the main things when we come in with our programs that we're really told to is like by our clients is, okay, if I do this program, I'm signing up to get counseling, therapy, and all this kind of stuff, as long as it don't mess up my benefits, as long as it don't mess up my Section 8, as long as, they are really, hell bent on not messing up their benefits. And I just talked to one of my clients like 2 weeks ago, and her older kids who were over 18, they were told by her landlord to leave her apartment or she's going to report, she's going to take her off Section 8 because it states that once you get 18, you got to let them, you can't have nobody, for some, they can't have people living there. But here's the thing I have a problem with. A lot of people on HUD, Section 8, I don't know if it's the same or not, I don't know. But a lot of this goes to girls. And these girls some of them have more than 2 or 3 kids. That's fine if the girls are coming living in the neighborhood. What I have a problem with is when the girls are chasing men and they allow several men to come over who don't do nothing. They ain't working.
Oh, you know what they do? They sit on your car outside. That's what they do.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to work. And wondering, well, how Rat Man get to stay over here? Where he come from? I'm sure he didn't pass the test. He all tatted up and stuff, and I'm like, I'm sure he just got out of prison. Why is he sitting on the car and I'm headed to work? And for some people, they're like, man, like really, like I'm paying, the full load for being here, and she gets Section 8 paying, $25, $50 for rent, and she can have a host of people over her house who don't respect the neighborhood. They get to sleep there for free. They gonna sit on your car, their car, the neighbor's car. They don't care. They ready to fight at the minute because they have nothing to lose. Where you as a hard-working person, you thinking about, I gotta take care of my bills. Then grandma might need something. You got responsibilities. Versus this cat on the street who doesn't have anything, who just coming over here because he get free food, free sex, and a free place to lay his head so he can run the street and he can live that thug life. So I think that's more of a problem that a lot of people have with not only if it's Black, Latinos, Hispanics, or Asian. And I'm sure, I don't even know, are Asians on Section 8? I don't even know. But I'm just saying, that's what people have a problem with. Is like, are these people, if I'm out here working every day, they home watching, soap operas and stuff, and the boyfriend is on work, and I come home to a car lot full of people, and I'm coming from a hard day's of work, and they out there playing, I'm on or something like that. Something crazy, man. Seriously. And then they blast the music so high, and turn up, and you like, man, come on, I just done worked all day. And then you got to go out there on the porch and argue with them. Yo, could you turn down the music? My kid's trying to sleep. I've seen this happen, and it's like people complain to the rent office, and they ain't going to let these people move. Why? Because they getting their money, not on the second, on the third, on the first of the month. The government going to make sure they pay.
Yeah. Yep. And it'll go back to what I'm saying. If it's not yours, you do not care.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do we get people to care about this? Because one of the things I say to my clients is, okay, you get this assistance from your kids, you get assistance from the government. Okay, I'm not trying to knock your assistance, but don't come a slave, which a lot of them just become a slave to the government, right, which will enable you in other ways. If the government say, don't do it this way, or we're gonna pull your benefits, or if you put this person in office, they're gonna take away this. If you do vote, you're gonna tend to vote for the person who's gonna keep your benefits no matter whatever else happens. And it's like I just think that. Go ahead.
There has to be some type of accountability. I don't know how we can put it in order, but there has to be some type of accountability. They have to answer for the things that they do. And even if you are receiving assistance, you need to be able to show community service hours. You need to be showing something that you've done to even get this. You know what I mean? You should have to go to maybe a nursing home in your community. You should have to go and plant trees and all this other stuff. You should be able to have to go and keep your community intact.
Them girls ain't going out there to plant no trees.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem. No accountability for nothing.
Oh.
I do want to say the price point, the amount of money that, the living wage is so low that can't nobody live on it. Definitely not a single person with 2 or 3 children. So I think that, we all know there's a need for this. Probably the need is even more than the government can put in their budget. But it's like, Denise said, what is the balance? What's the checks and balance? How do we make sure these funds, or the people are using them, you know, respectfully. And I think there's been a lot of welfare fraud in the past. And so, you know, they came up with that EBT card. There are things that the government tries to do to slow and thwart, you know, mischief. But really, at the end of the day, as much as crime, you know, they try to put in those deterrents, you know, technology is moving fast, and the criminal mind is moving faster than the government moving, you know? So it's like, it's always going to be the riffraff. But I just wonder, you know, in terms of, you know, how the people who abuse Section 8, they kind of, you know, make it bad for the people who don't. Because my aunt, she's disabled. She's almost 70 years old. She's on Section 8. And she actually lives in a place where she's not supposed to be living. She lives in a nicer neighborhood than she can actually afford. And so instead of just paying like $50 extra for or rent for her Section 8, she has to pay like $150 more because Section 8 didn't really approve where she lived. You know, so there are people, in other words, who want to be in nice places. They just can't afford it. They do what my aunt is doing. You know, and it's just kind of sad, you know, that we make Blacks and Latinos the face of Section 8, because there's plenty of people who care about their community, and they Black and they Latino, you know.
Right. But and if you read Section 8, what the bill says, whatever, you will see. And like I said, I mean, like Z. Marie said, you're making us the face, and that was never the case for it. It was to help. And then the thing that gets me, I never forget one time, I'm working my butt off with my daughters, but I can't receive child care assistance. But the person that's home that doesn't have a job does. You don't need child care assistance because you're home.
That's right.
And I never got that. And that's how I do feel about this assistance when it comes to housing, because no matter, you can have 2 working adults in the house, it's still not enough.
That's right.
But you can't get assistance. But your taxes go to pay for those that don't have a job. I don't get this part. So
that's the one thing, you know, as a person, when I do my income tax, people always talk about how all the, you know, I went in there and all the girls with kids and everything would talk, oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to buy me a new car, I'm going to do this. Me, I'm going in there with a single man, you know, turning in my stuff. I'm like, I know what I get ain't going to be no 8,000 or whatever they get. You know, so it's like, you know, all the girls with all their kids, they're crowding, oh, we going to get this, I'm going to get a new car, I'm going to get this. And I'm just sitting there like, wow.
Because they don't have no other bills. I'm sorry to say.
And it didn't even work. They're coming in with fake check stubs or whatever, so they didn't even work. And it's okay because the fly-by-night tax preparer is okay with this because they're going to be closed, and when you get audited, it won't be on them. So
that's true. That's true. That's true.
More fraud.
Yep, that is so true. That is so true.
But you have a W-2.
I know. And so that, you know, and you all stated, you know, why it seems that Black and Latinos are the face of HUD, Section 8, and all these government assistance. But when I Googled Section 8 and, you know, people who are ruining the neighborhoods, those 2 names, Black and Hispanic, were, you know, those were the face of the people, you know, from blogs and different articles of people who they stay. Not all, of course, but some who are ruining, you know, neighborhoods once they get on Section 8. And like I stated before, some of them don't even live there. They're just living with their cousin or the girlfriend who happens to have Section 8, who lives in the neighborhood, who has that 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, you know, home or that apartment, who's letting all her cousin them come over.
Right, and don't mind. And then that's another thing. You've been privileged enough to receive this assistance, and you don't mind allowing all your cousins to come and move with you and risk losing it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm baffled.
I think we all are. We're all baffled by this. And it's something that continues to go on. The conversation does continue to go on with, you know, Section 8 and HUD housing. And then people who have a right to say that I want a good neighborhood. You know, and, you know, I agree. If people don't want a certain, you know, not judging based off race, but if they don't want criminals, child molesters, and people like that in their neighborhood, they have a right to say, hey, do a screening on everybody who's there more than 2 days, more than 3 days. And if we see your car consistently in the neighborhood, we can say,
well, I thought they were supposed to do the drug screening.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Because we're not a community anymore. You can take that out. We're not a community anymore. We don't care about each other. And I'll go back to, like I said, when my grandmother stayed in the projects in Georgia, it was beautiful. They called it whatever they wanted to call it. It was beautiful. Like Z Marie said, we can go to our neighbors and ask for help. People were there for the long haul. It was stability there. You knew your neighbors. You can leave your door open. You can do all of this stuff. Regardless. So it wasn't even about the amount that you paid for it. It's the pride you took in having something.
But then again, that was our grandparents and some of our parents who had that pride because they saw, that hey, if we didn't have the same fair race coming up, so if the government is giving assistance, let me use this, but not lean on the assistance as almost like a crutch. But it's for something to get off eventually.
And it's like,
go ahead.
And it's like the more we are given, the less we become, because it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I make an okay salary right now. It's the most I've ever made. I have 2 degrees, and so many people I know do not make enough money to even have, like I said, a single good life, let alone talking about vacation and all of this stuff. To be honest, I don't know how my mom, raised 2 girls. She took us to Disney World. We went to the youth fair. I'm like, how did she do that? Because I feel like I don't even make enough money to really do what I want to do, and I don't have any dependents. They rake me over the coals. They take like $600 every 2 weeks out of my check, because I'm single, no dependents. I mean, honestly, you guys, I don't know.
No,
just in terms of Blacks and Latinos, being the face of Section 8, we don't have no damn money. We don't have no fucking money.
Nothing.
We
have nothing.
Go to the properties. I was dating this guy who had a little change. We were going to all these different places. Y'all, it wasn't nothing but young white people. I would see some Asians and some Indians. Well, some Indians are Asian, but it was nothing but white people. I mean, they looked like they under 30, y'all, and they had big time money. So go to these, waterfront properties, go to these nice apartments in downtown areas, downtown Philly, downtown Baltimore, nothing but white people. And they got money, okay? And so then you switch over to Section 8. I just mentioned Baltimore, very black city by and large, no freaking money. So you tell me, why shouldn't we be the face of Section 8 and, we don't have any money? You think we there because we got money? No. I mean, it's a real big divide between the haves and have-nots. I feel like it's bigger than it's ever been. And to me, I love Obama. He has done a lot of good things. If you really look at his track record, it's not just because he's black, although
no middle class. Black,
but it's a bigger issue than Obama. I mean, it's just like Denise just said, there's no middle class, and it's for real, and it's getting worse. Look at the price of gas. I mean, it's getting worse, y'all. So if you think we the face in Section 8 now,
the price of milk, the price of bacon, wine is $8 for a pack of bacon.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying, until we make more money, what do you expect? And I know some people
everything went up but the pay.
Yeah, there's some people want to work, but when my cousin, he just got out of jail. Another cousin, he never been to jail. Both of them work the same place. How can that be? One is
Are you serious?
Yes, one is 33, one is like 44 or something like that. They both work the same place. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons for that. So I'm not saying that poor us or something like that. But when you really look at this, economic divide is real. It's real, and it does start and end with education a little bit, but it's more than that,
Right, because what are we creating? Like when you guys had the talk show, what are we leaving? What is our legacy? What are we building? Nothing. So we're leaving nothing. So there's nothing for them to do other than take our habits and the debt and apply for Section 8, and hopefully it goes through.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the conversation. Good thing we're having this conversation, you know, on Google Hangout because there's so many conversations that are going on, and we want to thank the people who have viewed in and out of this conversation because this is something that people want to know. If Black and Latinos and maybe some Asians are the face of Section 8, then what you ladies are suggesting could be one of the reasons why. Because where wealth is passed down in this country, people having a better start than some people. But even though you don't come from, you know, modest beginnings, some people didn't even come from that. You know, some people came from very, very humble beginnings. You know, and they still want to have a good life for themselves and for their kids. And like you stated, they strive. They've gone through college, and sometimes you go through college, and it takes a little time to land that job. It's like you're not promised a job right out of college. And some people think that, I mean, we go 4 years, 6 years, 7 years, some 8 years.
Or you get off thinking that you're too good to go cut grass to save money. Or you get off thinking you cannot work at McDonald's and flip a burger to save money. You get off like that. Mm-hmm. And that's when, you know, it just goes downhill from there. When are you too good to make a better life for you or your family?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And yeah. I agree with what you're saying because we do have a lot of single people who are, and like myself, I was working 2 jobs at one time, and right now I'm looking for another gig, you know, because the job I do, it allows me with that. But the same thing as you stated, Z. Marie, as a person, you know, who is out there working and in the social service industry, you know, it's still dealing with that population. You know, we're not making, you know, buku on Wall Street. But you do it because you're trying to help humanity, but at the same time, you got to help yourself too. You got to be able to eat too. So I find a lot of people in my field, they have 2, 3 other gigs that they're doing at the same time just to have, you know, to be able to take that vacation throughout the year. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are doing that, you know?
Yeah. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's 2 things I want to say. One is it's going to get worse because if you knew how some cultures, and I'll just say some cultures have certain industries on lock. Name me one culture other than athletics, and I'm sorry, name me one field or segment of business except athletics and like music that Black people have on lock. So it's only gonna get worse. If I
and still only get a percentage of that, because Donna Sterling was making more than any of the players could. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's gonna get worse because if I hear one more young Black person, I'm glad we going to college, sorta, because student loans ain't no joke. I'm sorta glad we going to college.
That's another thing. Oh.
But if I hear one more Black person tell me they're majoring in psychology, they're majoring in what I majored in, which is English, please don't do it to yourself. It's the poverty house. You know what I mean? So unless we start majoring in STEM kinds of fields, or, you know, doctor, lawyer, those old chestnuts, it's gonna stay this way. Please stop majoring. I wish I majored in English, and I love the written word, I love the spoken word, but you know, I just followed my heart. I didn't realize, you know, I was gonna have to pay some real bills one day, you know. But I'm just saying, like, there's this gap, and that's one part of it that we can control by going after certain careers, you know, that actually pay more money. And that's just something I didn't realize. I thought I wanted a liberal arts education. That's just how my mind works. But they just make less money. And now, you know, I know that now. The other thing I want to say is our ancestors did thrive at one point. There was Black Wall Street. There was businessmen and women, you know, who had something going for themselves. And really, some white people came along and messed it up, or they took it over. Now, I'm not, and that's facts. That's not me, you know, trying to make it a racial thing. It was a racial thing at that time, so I don't have to make it anything. But nowadays, we don't necessarily think in the same ways, not that we should, but any scholar, I guess the way I could sum this up is any scholar would tell you who worked their salt that the answer still is for us to get industry, get businesses, and buy from each other. We have to make the Black dollar circulate in our community. So, you know, we kind of up the ante as far as the wealth is concerned. But like Jennifer, you know, Denise already shaking her head, and that's been a problem.
We're not gonna do it.
We haven't been able to make that happen again, because before we had to buy from each other. Nobody else wanted the N-word in their establishment. We had to buy from each other. It stayed in there. But now that we don't, you know, it's kind of hard for us to get that back. And I'm not making a conspiracy about, you know, you only have to buy black or something like that. I don't care what color they are. If they support your community, you know, they could be any color as long as.
And that'll go back to what I said. The more we will give and the less we have, because it seems like we got so big for our britches, we don't need each other anymore. I don't need you. I'm good over here. And that's not the case. And before someone will help you, they see you with the product. Before they help you, they will hurt you and talk about, oh, she thinks she got it going on selling all this body wrap stuff, or she thinks she did. No, regardless of or whatever it is I'm selling, why are you putting me down?
Right.
I think what you guys say, why there's that competitive, like, crab in the bucket mentality among, you know, I see it more in the black community than I do in any other races. My Latino friends, they help each other out. My Asian friends, they gonna stick together. White brothers and sisters, they gonna stick together. But among black people, you know, not all black people, but certainly some, it is that crab in the bucket mentality, especially when you start talking about your aspirations and things that you want to do, because some people feel defeated already, like, okay, it's not going to happen for me. Why should you even try? Who do you think you are, going to college, trying to do something with your life, or trying to, you know, I mean, we have that crab.
And then they wish you well. They wish you well, but not better than them. Or they, oh, I'm glad you made it, but then when they see you really doing your thing or you really making it, they don't like it.
Exactly.
And it's like, why?
Exactly.
Why?
And a lot of it, too, is because when you remind people of what they aren't, you kind of remind them of what they could do if they put their time, talent, and treasure to the pedal and do it as well. And as we know, things are not, you know, it's not cloud nine out there. Everybody got to go out there and get on their grind and do the best they can. And like I said, I know people who have a full-time job and a part-time job, and some people I know got 2 full-time jobs. And how they doing that, I don't know, you know. And it's just that, you know, when you're out there working hard and you're trying to make your, you know, build wealth for yourself and for your family, and you want to stay in a nice neighborhood, you want to become, your home is your haven. So whether if it's the black people, the Hispanic, Asian, white people who are on Section 8 of these government programs, you just don't want it to interrupt your way of living. You don't, where you lay your head at night. I don't want to have to come home and worry about, you know, John, who didn't work all day, breaking into my house because I was out 9 to 5 while he was here with his girlfriend who's on Section 8 paying $50. And,
and he doesn't stay here, so there's no record, so there's no way for me to track him. So
exactly. So you don't know. And so I think that's more where this conversation, you know, is going with this whole Section 8 thing, because there are tons of people, both white, black, Hispanic, and Asian, who really don't want Section 8 people moving into their neighborhood. And there are some, even though a lot of people are agreeing to have people on Section 8 come, you know, there are many places that do not accept Section 8 and government assistance. And I can't blame them.
It's the one bad apple will spoil the whole bunch. Because, like I said, that's the stigma of the word. Not everybody. Some people do need genuine help. Some people are, you know, good and keeping up, you know, homes or whatever and go by the rules. But the number outweighs, the bad outweighs the good, so.
The bad outweighs the good, and some people say I'd rather deal with the dog I know than the dog I don't know, a new dog coming in. You know, that's a bad analogy of a bird. You know, the devil I know than the devil I don't know, you know, something like that. So, you know, I can totally understand why people are hesitant about letting people on Section 8 into their neighborhood, and the news doesn't help at all with everything that happens in the news. You know?
Yep. But hey, that's life.
That's life. That's life.
That's our take on it.
That's our take. I want to thank Denise and Z Marie for this conversation. We're going to do some more topics through Google Hangout. This is a great way for us to communicate and to have, and thanks to the viewers who viewed in and out of both topics. We will be back to talk about some more topics. Until next time, be safe. Say goodbye to the people, Denise.
Good night. Adios. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yes, thank you all. God bless you. Take care of yourself and each other. Peace.